It's 11 a.m., and 47-year-old Curtis Green is sitting alone in his house in Spanish Fork, Utah, casually eating powdered mini donuts and washing them down with a bottle of Coke. He's completely unaware that his life is about to spiral into something far bigger than he can imagine. The quiet rhythm of his morning is suddenly broken by the sharp ring of his doorbell. It's followed immediately by his two chihuahuas erupting into frantic barking. A reaction that feels unusually intense for a neighborhood where visitors almost never show up unannounced. Surprised, Green slowly pushes himself up, grabbing his wife's pink walking cane for support, and begins making his way toward the window with careful, uneven steps. At times, his curiosity mixed with a subtle sense of unease. When he finally peers outside, he notices what appears to be a postman walking away from his front door. But something about the scene doesn't sit right with him. The man isn't wearing a complete uniform. It's just a U.S. Postal Service jacket awkwardly paired with jeans and sneakers, and instead of heading toward a marked postal vehicle, he walks briskly toward an unmarked white van parked across the street, as if he doesn't want to be seen for too long, despite the strange details. A package now sits quietly on Green's porch. It's about the size of a book, with a Maryland postmark stamped on it, but no return address, which immediately adds to the discomfort building in his chest. When Green steps outside and picks it up, he notices how unusually heavy it feels in his hands, forcing him to pause as if his instincts are trying to warn him that something is wrong. After a brief moment of hesitation, he makes a sudden decision, walking across his lawn and tossing the package straight into the trash can. Choosing for a moment to trust that instinct, he heads back inside and closes the door, thinking the situation is over. But curiosity is patient. It doesn't let go easily. Only a few minutes later, Green finds himself stepping outside again, almost as if pulled by an invisible force, reaching into the trash can and pulling the package back out. This time, he doesn't hesitate as much. He brings it inside, places it down, grabs a pair of scissors, and carefully cuts it open. In an instant, a cloud of fine white powder bursts outward, filling the air and covering his face. Before he even has time to react, at that exact moment, everything changes. The front door is violently blown off its hinges as a SWAT team storms into the house, shouting commands, weapons raised. It's turning an ordinary morning into a full-scale tactical operation in seconds. Green immediately drops to the ground, overwhelmed and confused. He's not even thinking about resisting as officers surround him and secure the scene with practiced precision. Inside the package is over 1 kilogram of high-quality cocaine, stamped with a red dragon, a detail that signals to the agents that this isn't random, it's part of something organized, something much bigger. As they search the house, they uncover $23,000 in cash stored in his fanny pack, along with a computer, a Bitcoin mining rig, and a Samsung phone, all of which point toward involvement in something far beyond a simple mistake. Asterisk. Curtis Green is arrested on the spot, charged with possession with intent to distribute, and within minutes, his entire life has been flipped upside down. But what Green doesn't fully understand yet is that he isn't the real target of this operation. He's just the entry point. The raid he has just experienced as part of a controlled delivery sting operation carried out by the Marco Polo Task Force, a specialized unit operating under the Baltimore Homeland Security Investigations Office, assembled for one specific purpose: to bring down a man known only by a name, Dread Pirate Roberts, the mysterious figure behind Silk Road, the largest dark web marketplace in the world, a platform where drugs, illegal goods and services are traded freely using Bitcoin, far beyond the reach of traditional law enforcement methods. And Curtis Green isn't just a random user on that platform. He's a high-level moderator, someone with access to the inner workings of the system, someone valuable. As Green is taken into custody, fear begins to settle in, not just because of the charges he's facing, but because he understands something far more dangerous. His boss finds out that he's been caught. A tase. The consequences won't come from a courtroom. They'll come from the shadows. Green quickly realizes that cooperating with law enforcement might be his only chance of survival, as long as his identity as an informant remains hidden. What he doesn't know is that the danger he fears isn't only coming from the dark web, it's sitting right beside him. Two men stand at the center of this operation: Special Agent Carl Force and Special Agent Sean Bridges. Force, a T veteran with over 15 years of experience, is no stranger to undercover work. Having spent years crafting fake identities and infiltrating criminal organizations from the inside, Bridges, a Secret Service agent, specializes in computer forensics and Bitcoin. With years of experience tracking digital transactions and navigating the anonymity of networks like Tor, originally developed by the US Navy, it's designed to make it nearly impossible to trace the origin or destination of internet traffic, forming the backbone of the dark web and allowing platforms like Silk Road to exist in near total secrecy together. Force and Bridges are perfectly positioned to infiltrate this hidden world. Sitting behind Green's computer, they begin exploring his moderator account, and what they discover exceeds their expectations. Green isn't just managing users. He has administrative privileges that allow him to reset passwords, clock accounts, and, more importantly, access the Bitcoin holdings of Silk Road users. Hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. At a time when cryptocurrency is still poorly understood and widely believed to be untraceable, this level of access represents enormous power and enormous temptation. Green is terrified and desperate, cooperates fully, giving the agents access to his account, which they immediately secure by changing the password. As they dig deeper, it becomes clear that Green is far more valuable than they initially realized. But at the same time, something else is happening in the background, something no one expects: a massive theft. Approximately 20,000 Bitcoin suddenly disappears from Silk Road accounts, triggering alarm among vendors and administrators. At the time, the amount is worth around $350,000. But even more important than the value is what it represents: a breach of trust within a system built entirely on anonymity and reputation. Suspicion quickly falls on Green. From the perspective of Dread Pirate Roberts, the logic is simple: Green had access, Green has disappeared, and Green had the opportunity. But this assumption is wrong. Green didn't steal the money. Sean Bridges did, using the access provided through Green's account. Bridges resets user credentials, drains their funds, and transfers the Bitcoin through a series of wallets before eventually moving it to the Japanese exchange, MT Gox, carefully attempting to hide his tracks. At least, that's what he believes. Meanwhile, DPR is faced with a problem. One of his trusted insiders has potentially betrayed him, and in his world, betrayal cannot go unanswered. He considers his options carefully: intimidation, violence, or elimination. Ultimately, he decides to act, but he needs someone capable of carrying out that decision, so he reaches out to a man known as Knob, a supposed cartel operative and experienced drug smuggler with connections in the underworld. What DPR doesn't realize is that Knob isn't a criminal at all. Knob is Carl Force, operating undercover. Force had already been using this persona to communicate with DPR, building trust over time, positioning himself as someone reliable and capable. Now, that trust gives him an opportunity. DPR asks Knob for help dealing with the situation. He wants Green punished, possibly killed, and Force agrees, back in the real world. Curtis Green sits across from the same agents, who are now secretly controlling the narrative. They accuse him of stealing the Bitcoin. Despite knowing the truth, applying pressure and pushing him toward compliance, Green denies it. He's panicked and confused. But the agents don't need the truth. They need a story, and they need Green to play his role in it, to make that story believable. They take things further than anyone would expect. In a hotel bathroom, Green is subjected to WATRBOARDING, not by criminals, by federal agents. He gasps for air, struggles, begs for it to stop. But the process continues because it needs to look real. Photos are taken as proof. Evidence is created. A narrative is built. These images are sent to DPR, who believes he is witnessing the punishment of a traitor. But then, even that isn't enough. DPR changes his order. He wants Green executed. Force agrees again, escalating the situation even further. Another payment is made. More Bitcoin changes hands, and a fake execution is staged. Green is made to appear dead, lying motionless, convincing enough to satisfy DPR. But in reality, he survives, hidden away, alive, unaware that his supposed death is now a key piece of evidence in building a case against one of the most elusive figures on the internet. This moment marks a turning point in the story, because now the agents aren't just investigating crime, they are actively creating it, and once that line is crossed, it becomes easier to cross it again. Carl Force begins to push further, creating additional fake identities and personas to interact with DPR. He poses as a corrupt official, an insider, even a blackmailer, manipulating the situation to extract more Bitcoin from the very man he is supposed to be investigating. Am. Sean Bridges launders stolen Bitcoin through layered transactions. Carl Force believes he's invisible, but he's wrong. Bitcoin never forgets. Every transaction is permanently recorded, and eventually, someone notices. An investigation begins into Silk Road's Bitcoin activity. Patterns emerge. Wallets connect to exchanges, including the agents themselves. The truth is shocking. The law enforcers were exploiting the system. Bridges launders thousands. Force grows reckless, triggering alerts. Soon, the hunters become the hunted. In 2013, Ross Ulbricht is arrested with Silk Road open on his laptop. The platform is shut down, but the corruption stays hidden until 2015, when both agents are exposed. Curtis Green walks free. And in the end, who can you trust?